State of the Union tonight by President Obama, and it turns out the State of the Union is strong. Stronger, he said.
Yes,
strong.
He didn't say strong. It's stronger than it was. I mean, he painted a contrast. A lot of people are talking about the president not having been a successful president. Now the narrative about his successes begins. So, yes, the State of the Union was stronger than when he got it, is what he's saying.
So there's two parts to that. It seems like a small thing, but it's actually not, because it goes towards the theme of the night. One part of it is, look, I get that we're not in particularly strong shape right now, right? But the point I want to emphasize is how much stronger we've gotten. And now to buttress that point, he talked about 3 million jobs created since the end of the recession.
Yes.
And that is true. And we've shown the chart over and over on the Young Turks. You see the recession takes out this huge amount of jobs, and you see it start in the Bush era, obviously expand into the first year of Obama, and then you see the jobs go up. He's got to reemphasize that over and over again. He started doing that tonight. Second point about the speech, God, he was so much stronger.
Yeah,
you know,
and I think you can't do the second part without the first part. I think the swagger in your second point is because of what's going on in your first point. I think he feels like the economy is getting better. He's feeling a little bit of momentum that he hasn't felt in a while. He has victories overseas. He's seeing jobs created here. He's seeing housing starts go up. He's seeing General Motors on top of the world. He actually can kind of like show his feathers a little bit and be kind of excited here, which is good.
Right, but you know, when he was doing his campaign speeches, I thought that he was a little listless. I mean, he had already kind of begun the campaign. He'd gone to, places like Virginia, et cetera, and done his, and I was like, I'm not inspired. This time he looked like back in 2008 when he was running strong.
There's something different about the State of the Union, too. When you're in front of Congress, the world is watching. A campaign speech in Kansas, yes, a lot of us watched it, a lot of other people watched it, but everybody's watching this. The eyes of the world or the country certainly were on him tonight, and I think that's important.
And I think you made a great point. There's some swagger, and he took a couple of victory laps on, hey, I killed bin Laden, in case you didn't notice. Yeah. And the auto industry, I rescued them, and now GM's back to being number one in some categories. Yeah. I'll take a victory lap on that. And in a couple of moments, I almost thought he was going to look back at Boehner and be like, what now? Right? And then Boehner would have gone like this.
What?
I've never seen someone look so consistently angry / bored.
The chances he's not having a cigarette right this second, 0.
Oh, yeah, he couldn't wait to get out of there.
Could not wait to get out. He might have been having one then. The other thing I think to point out about tonight's speech is that it wasn't full of flowery, kind of homages to people and getting people. It was very businessman-like, which I thought was surprising to me. Anyway.
Yeah, and actually it wasn't that long. He got in, he got out, he said, here's what I have to say, and he made a pretty effective case. And, he's got some new proposals about insourcing, giving tax breaks to the companies that do that. I thought his idea of taking the war costs and half of it going to pay down the national debt and half of it to nation building here at home was a good one. But most importantly, we found out right before the speech that he's going to appoint Eric Schneiderman, who is a great Attorney General of New York, tough, actually cares to do his job, to oversee the fraud committed by the banks, to see if there is fraud, civil, criminal, whatever it might be. Now, if he's serious about that and they really give Schneiderman power, that's the biggest news of the night. And not only because of its substance, but it also gives you a sense of like, hey, for the first time, President Obama might be serious about holding the banks accountable. Correct. Which couldn't come a day
huge news.
Early.
And the presumption is that he and Holder work well together because of their positions in the same Justice Department. So I think.
But Holder has been, I think, miserable so far.
I agree. He hasn't done anything. But if this is the beginning of that something, and then if Holder looks at what Schneiderman brings him, it's probably better coming from Schneiderman than anyone else.
And there's a small chance that people like Geithner and then hence the president were holding Holder back. We don't know who's responsible for that. But if Schneiderman is there, that maybe gives Holder the green light to let's go get the sons of bitches, which by far would be the best thing that came out of.
That's the salient point. I don't know that they. I mean, it's really conjecture to say they were holding him back. I don't think they were holding Holder back. He doesn't seem like someone, despite his last name, that can be held back if he wants to be. So.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think he's a little bit more political than that. But anyway, the bottom line of the speech is you got a president that looks confident, that is saying some of the right things, and even acting in some of the right ways, which is by far the most important, because we've heard a lot of great speeches from Obama. Unfortunately, in 3 years, some of that, or a lot of that, did not get delivered. But here, if he, with the Schneiderman pick, you begin to get a sense that maybe he's a little bit more serious about acting the right way, not just talking the talk, but walking the walk.
I also think when he sees what's going on the other side, when he sees the condition of the Republican Party, it has to give him a little bit of energy as well, because he kind of feels more license, because they're a disaster right now. The people that are going to run against him are a disaster. The congressional party is a disaster. Right now, Congress, the Democrats are polling better in generic House votes. It's a perfect storm for the moment, and we know that changes quickly.
Republican approval ratings are as low as they've ever been. Yeah. The unfavorability of Newt Gingrich was already near 60%. The other leading candidate, Romney, is now over 50% for the first time, and trying to catch Newt Gingrich in unfavorability. So, yeah, it's a long, long year ahead until we get to November, of course, and the election. But right now, he's got to be feeling pretty good about his status. In fact, this is the first time I felt good about his chances of re-election. Because before, when I see a guy who's listless, a guy who doesn't fight back, and he's going to run against a Republican who's going to fight very, very hard, I didn't feel good about that. The guy I saw tonight, I feel a little bit better about, both because of his chance of re-election, but more importantly, that he might actually do something if he got re-elected.